God'll get you for that one.
Maude is owned by Shout Factory.
God'll Get You for That, Walter, is produced for entertainment purposes only.
Sponsored in part by Findley's Friendly Appliances. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter.
And he does not.
He does not in this episode.
Or she does not. Or
do
not.
They do not. She
They
does
do
not.
Yes.
All the gods.
Yes, we have to be careful of pronouns these days. One must be very careful of pronouns.
Except when referring to you. We can't use they, them pronouns.
Do not call me they, them. It makes me feel fat. And I do not appreciate it.
And welcome to God'll Get You for That, Walter, a podcast where we discuss the 1970s hit sitcom, Maude.
The podcast where every episode
is the last episode.
It seems. No, just kidding.
My name is Tom Catt, and I am joined as ever by my mother, Toni Homeperm.
That is I.
Toni with an I.
I can be a he, I can be a she.
You can't be in between?
I cannot be a they.
I can.
Sorry.
But I think that's also because I'm so tall.
Yes. They fit you.
And this is episode 64. This is episode 64. And we're discussing today season 3, episode 16, the Telethon.
Which is available to watch
on Tubi.
On Tubi currently.
Currently, until I think August 15th.
Okay.
I have to double check the...
So there should be, by the time this actually goes live, I think there may be time.
There may be time, yes. There will definitely be time. Because one of the things that Tubi does is they'll host a show for a little bit, and then they'll see how it does, then they'll take it away, and then they'll possibly bring it back, I guess, depending on viewership and depending on all that fun stuff.
It sounds like, being in a bad relationship.
Yeah.
They give a little, and then they take it
directly away.
And then they tease and give you just a little bit more, and then they take it away.
What I think is going to happen, because they've done it with The Nanny, where they had seasons 1 and 2 of The Nanny, and then they took The Nanny away, and then they gave us Nanny seasons 3 and 4. So I imagine they're going to do something similar with Maude.
Okay. We'll see.
I just want them to just put the whole series on Tubi. This is nonsense.
Yes. Please. Enough already.
But yes, this episode is the Telethon. It was written by Norman Lear. Norman Lear and Norm Liebman. Directed, of course, as always, by Hal Cooper. And there were some special guests. There was Vaughn Taylor as Dr. Lloyd Jameson.
Yes.
Richard Stahl as Ray Moser, or Roy Moser. I can't tell if that's an A or an O because my handwriting is truly atrocious.
Was he the station manager?
Richard Dranny was the stage manager.
Now I forget but he's so recognizable. I forget
instantly recognizable.
He's been in.
He's been in a lot of shows from the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
But yeah. So Dick Winslow is the one-man band. Aldo Formica, which is actually his real name, is the pizza twirler.
Well, he was really a pizza twirler.
He was really a pizza
twirler.
Was
a pizza twirler.
And Terry Kaiser is the telethon host.
Yes.
So what'd you think of the episode?
It was cute. Reminded me of that episode where they were doing the show for the school. Remember that one?
Yes, Maude's Musical.
Maude's Musical.
They all sort of when you think of the musical episodes of Maude, they all sort of bleed together. You could watch each musical episode, and they would tell a story.
The story is very similar in both. That they're trying to put this show on.
They're all the same. They're trying to put a show on, and there's some issue.
In the Maude's Musical, Arthur was trying to shut them down.
Yeah,
right?
Arthur was trying to shut them down because it dealt with burlesque, and Arthur thought that it was very pornographic.
Right. And actually in this one, it ends up becoming Arthur wanting to shut them down again.
Yep. But this time for an entirely different reason.
Yes, entirely different reason. But,
So, the episode opens with Maude singing a song from Rhythm on the Range. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the song.
Skadaddy or something? I forget it.
I don't think it was. It was the way that Maude sang, "Mr. Paganini, please play my Rhapsody." If you cannot play it, won't you sing it?
Yes.
And if you can't sing it, you'll simply have to Scott da 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 da.
Yes.
And that's how we open it. And
and apparently it was done by Martha Raye.
I love Martha Raye. I adore Martha Raye.
Well, of course you do.
Of course I do.
I would expect no less than for you to adore Martha Ray. Martha Ray, Carol Channing, Elaine Stritch.
Yep.
Patty LuPone.
Broadway dames that lead with their chest. To
To
those that don't know, Martha Ray was famously known as the Big Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she also did those Polydent commercials.
You are such an open book to me.
Yeah, it's true. It's quite literally, in fact.
Literally. What chapter of Tomcat will I be reading tonight?
Actually, my first introduction to Martha Ray was, oh God, why can't I think of it now? I was just randomly looking on YouTube, I think. And, of course, I was watching my usual videos, Ursula Sings Poor Unfortunate Souls,
Right.
Elaine Stritch, B. Arthur, Toady Fields. Like, I would just look, and then it just said, suggested for Tom. And I was watching it, and I think it was her doing her show. Because she had the Martha Ray show back in the late 40s, early 50s. I think it was around the advent of television.
Okay. Makes sense.
And, she had her own show. And, of course, from there, then I saw her on the Judy Garland show.
Right.
And then I found out that she was in Puffin Stuff.
Yes. Oh, right. H.R. Puffin Stuff.
She was in the movie.
Yes.
She played the really big evil witch lady.
Yes.
Which is another outfit I would love to make for myself. But yeah, I've always adored her as she's a fabulous character actress.
Oh, yes.
Very fabulous character actress.
Yes. Much like you.
Much like myself. I, too, am a
Fabulous character actress.
You're
such an old soul.
I am!
I can imagine, like, at birth, you probably came out, like, instead of crying, you were like, listen, I've had a very rough day. I don't want to hear about it. Someone get me a martini and a cigarette.
Yeah. No, it's true. You definitely read me like a book. You read me like a book.
Like, all the babies are, like, in the nursery, and there's just this one with
a cigarette holder.
The smoke is coming out.
And it's funny, we could say the same thing about that Queen and Queens.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely.
Still to this day, that remains one of the funniest jokes we ever did on that Naughty or Nice show.
Yes.
Where you had asked me as Alexis' sister, what did Alexis look like when she was born? And I said, same hair and makeup, cigarette in her hand.
She came out looking that way.
And a bottle of Jack.
Yes. And we don't have to worry because she won't listen to our show.
She won't listen to our show.
She doesn't have the patience.
She has no patience.
She doesn't have the patience.
So, yes, obviously, Tomcat loves Martha Ray.
Of course. Of course she does. All right. So, she does her song. And then, Walter comes in and Maude's like, what'd you think of my song? Right.
And, Walter just disregards saying, fine. What'd you think of my thermometer?
Yes. He's very proud of his thermometer.
He's very proud of it.
It goes up to like $6,000.
$6,000.
And the whole premise is once they start the telethon, if it goes over the $6,000, that's the end of the telethon. They all come out and they
sing this big rendition of Hooray for Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood.
So this is what we find out as Maude is singing, and there's a big shot behind Maude that says, First Annual Gallbladder Telethon.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes.
Yeah, Gallbladder Foundation.
Gallbladder Foundation. Have you ever had gallbladder problems?
So far, I can safely say I have not.
Me either.
That's the one thing you could say is that you've never had a problem with your gallbladder.
Particle board or whatever, faux
I just always knock my head.
So I hope I never do. So nowadays, though, like if they have to remove the gallbladder, they can do it laparoscopically. They go right in through your belly button.
I mean, what
suck it right out.
What is? I forget which one is it. The appendix or the gallbladder that was it was evolutionary, or I think it was evolutionary, where we had to have our appendix or gallbladder. Sorry, I scratched you.
Yeah,
appendix or a gallbladder to digest rocks.
Digest rocks.
I don't know if that was. I don't know if it was the appendix or the gallbladder.
You sure it wasn't the spleen?
No, I don't think it was the spleen.
Not the spleen.
I think it was one of those organs that you sort of don't think of that would constantly be removed.
Right.
But I think you know what?
I thought the gallbladder had something to do with because I know isn't it if you can develop gallbladder problems if you eat too much fatty foods?
Sounds about right. There's a lot of other things that can develop if you eat too much fatty foods.
Well, true. Very true.
That in and of itself is a problem.
Which is why I don't like to be called they.
That's the only reason.
But I digress. Anywho, Arthur introduced Maude to Dr. Jameson.
Yes, and Dr. Jameson is a little frantic.
Yes,
he's
a
little
not happy.
nervous.
He's not happy.
Apparently, if we also noticed, this was a really, really, really big tribute to old Hollywood.
Yes,
movies.
it's supposed to be. Because that was one of the things that Walter said was he thought it was supposed to be about Maude's song. He thought it was supposed to be a tribute to the movies,
and Maude triumphantly says, this was from Rhythm on the Range, sung by Martha Raye.
Yeah, so it was a song from the movies. And
correct.
Walter was unaware of that. So Dr. Jameson, he's very nervous about the show.
Yes.
And he's questioning Maude. He thought they were going to be big stars.
Yeah.
Because, in the reality of, the Maude show, Maude is not a big star.
She's just
a real estate agent.
A real estate housewife, a real estate / housewife.
From Tuckahoe.
From Tuckahoe, New York.
And I know they bring up Yul Gibbons.
Yes, which is one of the big stars of Yul Gibbons.
Yul Gibbons, but he's not going to make it. He didn't he get poisoned eating a tree?
Severe case of poison oak lifting a tree.
Yes,
in Minnesota.
In Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And also, it's in that particular part you can really hear how hoarse B. Arthur was.
As a matter of fact, when I was looking up the trivia, I had noticed it said B. Arthur was suffering from a slight cold, and I don't think it was a cold. I think she either had the flu or it was some type of bronchitis
something like
she
that.
sounded very... She sounded hoarse.
Yeah.
She sounded very hoarse.
And I'm amazed at how much
she
singing
was
she did.
Still able to sing and perform. Well, she was a consummate professional.
Really?
Consummate professional. This episode actually had, and Norman Lear corroborated this, he had said that one of the lines that B gave in this was one of the funniest lines he'd ever heard.
Okay.
But we'll get to that
one. Okay.
So Yul Gibbons, severe case of poison oak.
He's not going to make it. But they do have a big star.
Star of stage, screen, and television.
Yeah.
Mark Spitz.
He was an Olympic swimmer.
Yes, he was.
How is he a star of all these other things? I don't know.
Because he's been on them so many times. I'm sure he was on them at the time. I mean, look at, what's his name?
Who?
The big shoulders with the big ears and the big head, and again, all those medals.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about. The newer Olympic star.
Yes.
Who beat his record.
Okay, yes. The one who got in trouble.
The one who got in trouble for smoking
pot. I forget his name.
So do I.
You know, sports and me, the two never really quite
the two are not mutually exclusive in terms of Toni Homeperm.
No, sorry. It was me and Jim, they throw the ball my way. I would stand there. It would hit me in the chest and bounce off.
Yep.
And I'd look down at the ground and stare at it.
And it's like, what am I supposed to do with it? Do you want to actually pick this up and throw it?
I'm supposed to touch that?
I'm supposed to touch this.
I was like, can we just do square dancing? I need to get my do-si-do on.
Still hated swim class. I dreaded swim class.
My school didn't have a pool, so we didn't have that.
Lucky you.
Swim class.
Lucky you.
That must have been a joy.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh.
It was tragic.
Oh.
It was not great. Oh. And I was also, 300 pounds, so I was much heavier.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Oh, can't imagine.
It was not fun.
So they have a big star, Mark Spitz. He's going to drink
a glass of milk
on stage.
On stage.
I think that was his big thing. He was he was a big campaign.
He was a proponent for the milk
milk industry,
government cheese. It always seems to be dairy that the government is trying to push on.
Push that dairy.
I don't know why.
I was never a big milk drinker. Even nowadays, I'll put a little half and half in my coffee, that kind of a thing. But to have a big glass of milk, I don't know. It just and if I do drink milk, it's got to be ice cold.
Yeah, same.
Milk that is even slightly
lukewarm.
Whoa. I can't.
It tests your gag reflex.
Disgusts me.
It
Disgusts
your
me.
gag reflex.
And really, humans, we're not meant to drink.
We're not meant to drink cow's milk.
Lactation fluid.
Nope, we're not supposed to do that.
What do you know what the purpose of cow's milk is for? No,
but you're going to tell me.
It's for the mother cow to nourish her calves.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's what it's designed for. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's why we don't drink, you as adults, we don't drink human
I
milk.
Would be remiss.
Right?
Just the thought of women being in those udder milk. Nope. The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. Yeah. And that's why I drink oat milk and almond milk.
Fine. Yes.
Those are the only two that I have no problem with nut milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I say these things.
As the words were coming out of your mouth.
The words literally escaped my lips, and I'm
you immediately knew.
Well,
something went wrong.
My wires, they literally crossed as I said that.
Oh my.
But yes, I also, when I was younger, I was given formula. I was not given cow's milk.
Well, I wasn't breastfed as a baby when my mother had me at that time.
They didn't have formula in the 70s.
I was given formula in the 60s.
Oh, in the 60s, I'm sorry.
In the 60s. But at that time, they didn't really promote breastfeeding.
No, you would only use formula. It wasn't until I think
they were like, but formula is better than breast milk, which it's not. It's not better than breast milk. The most perfect food for a baby is their mother's milk. And really milk, that's what it's for babies.
It's for babies.
Like adults really shouldn't be drinking milk.
No.
It's not, really not. We don't need it nutritionally.
We don't need it nutritionally. There's other ways to get to get calcium.
But yes, absolutely. But however, I do love my cheese.
We stand cheese in this house. We stand cheese in this house.
I swear. And
I have been hankering for just a slice of buffalo mozzarella. With some tomato and balsamic vinegar. I have been
fresh basil.
I have been hankering for jonesing for that.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good. Yes.
So Mark spits milk.
So Mark spits and milk.
Spits and milk.
Oh yes. So
manager, yes. So the reason they got Mark Spitz in the first was because Dr. Arthur Harmon. Okay, Arthur performed a double hernia on his manager, on Mark Spitz's manager.
Yes, that's right.
I think it was Dr. Jameson asked him what was the reason for giving him 2 discounts, and again, why am I calling him Dr. Arthur Harmon? Arthur said, "Oh well, it was a double hernia. So double hernia, double discount."
Yes, that's when Vivian pops her head out,
and she is frantic.
She's nervous.
She has clips in her hair.
Yes.
Her hair was done up beautifully.
Which is strange. She's got this beautiful updo.
And she's got clips on the side.
Yeah.
Clips on the side.
But when next we see her after this instance, it's like, why did she have her hair in an updo? We'll get to what she's wearing.
Yeah.
But at this moment, she has this beautiful, elaborate Grecian updo of curls and everything.
Lots of barrel curls. Very beautifully
coiffed.
Done. Very beautifully done.
Perfectly coiffed.
Also, another outfit that was beautiful was Bee's.
Yes.
Maude's, it was this gorgeous black form-fitting gown.
Like a sweetheart neckline. And then the sheer black
black cape on top of that.
It was so, sort of regal and sophisticated.
But she still had on her black flats.
Yes.
Because there was no way in heaven and earth Bee was performing in heels.
No. So Vivian is very nervous. She can't figure out how Dinah Shore does it every day. And of course, Dinah Shore had a talk show.
Was it a talk show or was it a
It was a talk / variety show.
Yeah.
That's what they did back then. They had Dinah Shore had a show like that. Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas. the one
Johnny Carson.
Well, yeah, but Johnny's it was a little more. It was a little edgier because he was on at 11:30.
Yes, it was the late show.
Like Dinah Shore's, it was very, very like soft sell.
Very, God, yeah.
Just...
Well, I mean, Dinah Shore was also a soft sell. She had a beautiful singing voice.
Oh, yes. And she always sang, a song on the show. And, or sometimes the guest sang with her. And, And, they would have, it was a talk show, but it wasn't like, it was very just fluff. It was a lot of fluff.
Yeah.
Don Ho, that's who else had like a show like that. Don Ho. Yes. He had a half-hour show.
Oh, Don Ho.
He had a half-hour show. And I don't remember the actress.
Betty White also had a talk show.
Did she?
She did. She had a talk show. Mm-hmm. And on that talk show, I think she hosted one black entertainer.
Yes.
And the audience was none too pleased about that.
Well, I thought it was it the audience or was it the
it wasn't the audience, it was the sponsors and just Hollywood was basically like, we can't have that.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Old habits die hard in Hollywood.
Very true. All right.
So Maude says Dinah was worried. Right. I'm sorry, Vivian. Dinah was worried because obviously Vivian is not going to be able to take over for Dinah if Dinah has a problem on her show.
Right. So Maude goes back to talking to Arthur and Dr. Jameson, and she's saying,
the telethon cannot miss.
You can't miss.
It's great. It's going to be the greatest thing in Tuckahoe since the 1927 Tuckahoe Film Festival.
And as soon as they go over $6,000,
now I have to make this joke. I really do. So I love Hermione Badley. Mm-hmm. I adore her so much, and one of the things that I'll do is like if I'm doing something mundane or something trivial, I'll say a line from Maude or from anything that I've watched, and it'll just make the moment that much more enjoyable for me. Of course. So when I would play Mario Kart with my cousins.
Mario Kart. That's a video game?
It's a video game.
Okay.
Mario Kart for Nintendo. One of the things that you can do is if you hit one of the buttons in perfect sync with the lights, that because it goes it goes all red lights, green, 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 and on the third green it's go. So if you get to the third green light and your motor goes faster than everybody else's. So every time I would do that, I would shout out Mrs. Naugatuck's version of Hooray for Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood.
And every time I did it, my cousins would laugh, I would laugh, and it's now become a thing with us, and I'm so happy because of that.
So what happens is, Maude explains how once they go over $6,000, they're all going to do Hooray for Hollywood, and at that point,
Mrs. Naugatuck comes in saying, Hooray for Hollywood!
Right.
And it just...
Right. And
it tickles me.
And Dr. Jameson is like...
bereft with grief.
He's like, this is where the gallbladder foundation is getting.
So Maude tries to allay his fears and say it's going to sound better than that.
Yes. So then, at that point, Walter is
introducing
Carol.
I was going to say Carmen.
Carol. He's introducing Carol. They have to rehearse their salute to Carmen Miranda.
Another one whom I absolutely adore.
You do, of course. How could you not?
I love Carmen Miranda. One of my favorite movies that Carmen Miranda was in was A Night in Rio with, Phil Harris's wife, whose name escapes me. And, the actor who played Rose's father in Golden Girls.
Oh, Don Ameche?
Don Ameche. That was one of my favorite Carmen Miranda movies. Mm-hmm. And again, oh my God, why can't I think of Phil Harris's wife now?
Phil Harris's wife.
You've lost me.
You've lost me.
You know who Phil Harris is.
Who is Phil Harris?
He voiced Baloo in The Jungle Book. He voiced Thomas O'Malley in The Aristocats. He was a very big radio personality. Okay. Very big band.
All right. I don't know who he married.
Oh my God! And I only just saw her recently.
It escapes me.
It does. It escapes me.
So
I only just saw her recently. She's been dead for years.
Carol is doing
a tribute to Carmen Miranda, and she's performing "I Like You Very Much," which was one of Carmen Miranda's staple songs.
Okay.
And to those that don't know who Carmen Miranda is, she was one of the first Brazilian actresses in Hollywood to really make it big. Mm-hmm. And at first, her hair was blonde.
Oh, really?
Her hair was platinum blonde.
Ooh.
And then I think the directors in Hollywood wanted her to darken her hair to look more ethnic.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And, she was so memorable because of the outfits that she wore. She wore these very fabulous skirts with these very tall platform shoes.
Because she was very short.
She was 5 foot.
Right.
She was only 5 foot.
They had her in really high platform
shoes. And these
headdresses.
mile-high headdresses made of like fruits or flowers.
Yes. I mean, that was like her claim to fame.
That was her claim to fame.
It really was.
Unfortunately, she sort of was typecast.
Yes.
But listen,
yes.
she was. I think at one point she was the highest paid Brazilian actress in Hollywood.
No, that's something. Not something to sneeze at.
No, not at all. It's just anecdotal. You on the Jimmy Durante show. That was her last performance. Oh. She actually had a heart attack on the show.
You're kidding.
I kid you not.
Oh.
Her and Jimmy were like dancing around. And like after the dance was over, Carmen fell to her knees.
Oh.
She got back up, but by the when she got back to her hotel room, that was it.
Wow.
She fell asleep and never woke up again.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yep, had a heart attack.
Wow.
I remember watching it and I'm like, oh, well, this is grim.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh, well. Hey.
We're still talking about her to this day, so her mark is not gone.
Yes, she lives on.
And there are times even when I do my makeup that I look at myself and I'm like, I could do Carmen Miranda. And then I take the wig off and I'm like, nope, I'm Celia Cruz all the way.
Oh my.
Moving gaily forward.
Who I see something, if I do my makeup a specific way.
Yes.
What's her name? Renee Taylor. Who played the nanny's mother.
Who played the nanny's mother, Sylvia.
Really? I could show you, there's a couple pictures where I'm like, oh my God, I look like Renee Taylor.
And there's our similarities, because when I put on that blonde wig that Frank did for me, without fail, I look at it and I just want to be like, hi! Because I too look like Renee Taylor when I put on that wig.
Oh my.
Oh, goodness.
So Carol does this whole Carmen Miranda number. They gave her quite a lot of time.
They did. They gave her a lot of screen time. Full-blown
singing, dancing, choreographed.
Well, I mean, even before Maude, Adrienne Barbeau was a Broadway actress.
Right. She was the first.
She was the original Rizzo. She was the original
Grease,
Rizzo
right?
in Grease. I'm trying to think what other... She was also in Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, okay.
She played one of the daughters, along with Bette Midler and... not Pia Zadora. It was another actress. But it was, in Fiddler it was Bette, Adrienne, and I don't know if B was matchmaker for that one. It may have been like after B had already left and gone to Maine. Or something else of note. So
Carol's doing this whole number, and at the end of it, and she's like, playing like
she's playing the shtick
up to Walter.
She's playing the shtick
He's
up
sitting
to
there
Walter,
in a chair,
which again,
cringy,
still makes me
cringy
uncomfortable.
because he's a stepfather.
Still makes me a little uncomfortable that they sort of did that, but
it was relatively clean.
It was relatively clean.
And at the end of it, she knocks him off the chair.
When they do, so there's another episode in season 6 where Adrienne and Bill do Fever. And Adrienne is in this very attractive nurse's outfit. And as the song continues, she takes off bits and pieces of the outfit as Walter is the patient.
Oh, Lord.
And every time I watch it, I'm like, this is uncomfortable.
Yes.
This is uncomfortable.
Okay.
But we'll get to that later.
So
the song ends.
Yeah, Maude is like, it's wonderful. And she tells Carol to be careful of the hat.
We're having it tomorrow for breakfast with grape nuts. That was adorable.
At
that point, Ray Moser comes in
he's the
stage manager, and he's very nervous because he's like, we stuck our necks out for you people, and you're like cutting into our like most famous, most popular,
the number one show on the station.
Number one show on the station. It was Perry Mason.
Reruns.
Perry
Mason reruns. Not even new episodes of Perry Mason.
Not even new episodes.
No, they're like old
episodes
of Perry Mason,
and it was their highest rated episode, "The Case of the Moth-Eaten Mink."
Yes.
So I think Maude quips, well, if you really are that worried, we'll have Arthur nibble on his blue serge suit.
Mm-hmm.
And, Maude's laughing nervously, and Ray's just, looking at her like, please don't make fun.
Yes.
Like, this is not something to make fun at.
And it was funny. It kind of made me think, here this station, their number one show are the Perry Mason reruns
of all things.
It reminds me of, remember in The Simpsons, the grandfather when he was like...
Matlock?
Yes, he was like, we're old! We're old. All we care about is Matlock. There was one episode where all the old people are in the car and they're driving at breakneck speed to get back to the home. So they don't miss Matlock.
Do you want to laugh? I'm gonna make you laugh and feel old at the same time. When I was younger and my Matlock was mentioned, I always thought that I always confused Gridlock and Matlock.
Gridlock and Matlock, okay.
I always confused the two of them.
Okay.
And, it wasn't until I was much older that I realized Matlock was television and Gridlock was traffic.
It was traffic. Very true.
So.
Interesting.
It's a little bit of potpourri for you.
Yeah. So, Arthur is on the phone and he's not happy.
Nope.
It's Mark Spitz's manager.
Yep.
And Mark. I think Maude grabs the phone, right?
Maude grabs the phone because Arthur's just like, Maude, it's Mark Spitz's manager. Yes. And Maude answers the phone. Hello, Norman. What? He can't make it? He's snowed in Honolulu? Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No, never been to Hawaii.
It's beautiful.
I'm bad.
It's gorgeous. I mean, nowadays, who would feed your I would
feed my cats. No, I have to feed them.
You have to. Yes, that's right. Cosmo would be too scared of me.
I have to feed Cosmo. I have to praise him.
You have to nurse him.
You have to reassure him.
You have to read him Goodnight Moon.
It is a
process. It's a process.
It's a process. I've never been to Hawaii. But what you were saying, what about it today?
No, I was just saying it's beautiful in Hawaii.
Yes,
I wouldn't recommend many locals to the United States go there anymore because they are just so overly populated. And in terms of native land, the natives really want to take back their land.
Can't blame them for
that. And, if you've looked at Hawaii on a map, it is miles away from California.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It is awful how far away Hawaii is from California. And it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe we should just give it back to the natives? Just a thought.
Did you ever see? There's I forget the name of the movie. Julie Andrews is in it.
Okay.
She plays the wife of a missionary.
Okay.
And that's what they go to Hawaii because they've got to Christianize the natives. And basically, they basically destroyed the life that these indigenous people had.
Yep. And they have such a rich culture.
Yes.
They have such a rich, beautiful culture. And it's just, I have opinions.
So, and it's like a tropical paradise there.
It is.
You really don't need to wear clothing. And when the indigenous people there, when they would, go into the water, they didn't wear anything.
No.
And they would come out and, let themselves naturally, dry off. Of course, Christians weren't having any of this.
Of course
not. So they brought them, they gave them these clothes that I guess had diseases still on them.
Smallpox blankets.
And,
it was smallpox blankets.
And
when years ago in the 14th century, 13th century, Columbus did the same thing.
Yeah.
With smallpox blankets.
Yeah.
It just...
Same thing, And the indigenous people were fine. They did not
honestly,
Jesus.
I'm
they were really happy the way they were.
Really, truly beginning to understand why so many white conservatives don't want people to learn about these sort of things.
Yeah.
Because people can have opinions on these things.
No.
People cannot have opinions on these things. God forbid.
I was just reading recently. I'm sure you heard about it. There was this one young man who took it upon himself. He wanted to like bring Jesus to these very.
We've discussed this on previous episodes. They killed him.
Yeah, the one that they killed.
They killed him.
Yes, and it's the government. I think it's off the it's
coast
of India or somewhere
something of that effect.
Something like somewhere around the South Pacific area.
The natives got him.
And you're not. It's like the government has said, do not go to this island. These indigenous people do not want anyone coming on their land.
Yeah.
They don't want you going there.
Yeah.
And this guy totally disregarded that. And
Please disregard the message.
He went there because he felt he had to bring Jesus to these people.
Well, Jesus
and
got him in the end.
And they killed him.
God got him in the end.
Yes. So
God got him in the end.
Now I guess he's, where he wanted to be.
He's with Jesus.
He's with Jesus.
He's with Jesus.
And the indigenous people are still, they're fine just the way they are.
So, Maude hangs up the phone.
Yeah, so no Mark Spitz.
No Mark Spitz. He's snowed in Honolulu, which obviously is the joke because there's hardly any snow in Hawaii.
Right. So, Dr. Jameson is upset and he wants to withdraw the foundation from the telethon.
But the joke that Arthur said, you knew it was going to snow in Honolulu. Because that was what Dr. Jameson said. He's like, I knew it. I knew it. And Arthur says, you knew it was going to snow in Honolulu.
It was going to snow in Honolulu.
It was just one of those things where I'm like, that was cute. That was cute. And then, of course, Maude tells Arthur to shut up.
Right.
And that there's still a stage full of talent.
Yeah. We have Aldo
for Micah from Tony's Grotto.
He spins pizzas.
His talent has literally thrilled millions.
Yes.
And Dr. Jameson asks, well, what does he do? And Maude says he spins pizzas in the window.
Pizzas in the window.
Which is a talent.
It's a talent. I can't do it.
I can't do it either. Do you know that there are competitions for pizza, for pizza spinning? That tickles me.
Yes.
Tickles me, I say.
There are. It's a serious thing. They have Dick Winslow, the one-man band.
Yep.
And Regis Bodine, the first Black Santa.
He does an incredibly funky ho-ho-ho.
Yes.
And he,
He says, hey, baby, what's happening to Dr. Jameson?
And gives him 5.
Yes.
So, at that point, Dr. Jameson's still apprehensive. Arthur takes it upon himself to do what Arthur always does. Mm-hmm. Makes a fool of himself.
Of course.
So, he grabs this straw hat from the set, puts it on, and does a rendition of Yankee Doodle Dandy.
And now Vivian,
now this was the gripe that you had.
This is the thing. Okay, so he's singing Yankee Doodle Dandy. Vivian comes out. She's behind him, sort of in like a
majorette outfit.
With one of those majorette hats on.
Completely covers the wig.
Completely covering the hair. And I'm like,
I do think it was. I think it may have been a piece. I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think that was her actual hair.
Oh no, it wasn't her real hair. No, absolutely not. Yes, no, they would. That's too time consuming to do.
Way too time consuming.
They do it on the piece. The actor comes in and then they just attach it to their head because it would take up too much time.
Take way too much time
of the actor's time away from rehearsal and and learning lines and all that. I mean, I think
what I would imagine happened was Viv came on with the hair on, said to Maude, Dinah Shore, ran off stage, took the wig off, put the hat on, did the whatchamacallit.
Yes.
And of course, as Arthur is doing Yankee Doodle Dandy, he then goes into this monologue.
Yes, a soliloquy.
A soliloquy, if you will. And while he is soliloquizing
about diseases of the tummy.
Oh, of course.
And Vivian was doing like a thing with
color
a rifle.
guard. She was doing color guard with the rifle.
Yes.
And she was trying so hard.
Yes.
Because that rifle was just about her size.
Yes. Yes. And while Arthur's doing this monologue about diseases,
Dr. Jameson is
meanwhile behind him, Arthur Jameson is having them take down the banner for the Gallbladder Foundation and all the signs.
And Maude is running after them, saying, please stop. Yes. So at the end of the song,
Vivian, he hasn't finished. Vivian is trying to get his attention to show him that they're taking
down the sign.
The banners and the sign, and he's like not getting it.
Yep.
Yes.
So at the end, he's like, what? So Dr. Jameson goes to the back. Mm-hmm. And, Maude's like, we'll cut it, we'll change it, we'll drop it from the show.
Yes. Thinking that he's just upset about the Yankee Doodle Dandy number. But he's just Basically,
He's
he's
just
seen
done.
through. He's like,
seen enough.
He's like, this is a chicken shit gig.
Yes, correct.
He's like, get my manager on the phone. This is the Gallbladder Foundation.
This is the Gallbladder Foundation.
You know, don't book us on these chicken shit gigs.
Stop booking us on these chicken shit gigs. He leaves saying, I've seen enough.
Yes, the GBF is
This is
pulling
a
out.
fiasco. The GBF is pulling out.
Yes.
And he leaves, and, Arthur is now frantic.
Right.
And Maude's like, we have a telethon with no disease.
Yes.
And, Arthur's panicking. This is no time to panic. This is the perfect time to panic.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think the stage manager...
the stage manager comes on saying the telethon is on the air.
Yeah, they're on the air.
So Maude enters.
Yes.
And she says, welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. Welcome to the first annual
Telethon for... Bum, 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 bum. Your mystery disease.
You know what that reminded me of?
Who?
It reminded me of there was that kids game. Mystery Day.
Oh God!
Are you ready for your Mystery Day? Another one of those
Fisher Price
misogynistic games. Where it was like, the whole thing for the girl was like, oh, that she get like a handsome potential suitor, on her date.
It's enough to make you lose your lunch.
Yeah. Boys didn't,
Boys never had games like that.
Oh,
Boys had
honestly,
the game of life.
Boys are supposed to be sports and all this. Honestly, I wanted Mystery Date. I mean, I would have been happy to play Mystery Date.
No,
to be honest with you. But
my sister...
Go out and play football or, play
play
Mystery Date with, my cousins. Give me Mystery Date any day of the week.
My anecdotal again. My sister years ago got that Pretty Pretty Princess board game.
I don't know about that.
And there was one bit of jewelry, because I think you would, move on a board and you would get a specific piece of plastic jewelry.
Okay.
And I remember there was one item you always wanted to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this black, technically it was a black plastic ring, but if you had gotten the black plastic ring, it was awful, it was terrible, and I'm like, I want the
You wanted that ring.
I wanted the black plastic ring.
I knew you wanted that ring.
I wanted the black plastic ring.
You were feeling your Maleficent
I
self.
was feeling my Maleficent evil
Wicked
queen
queens, evil stepmother. She's coming out.
I did.
She
I wanted the black plastic ring.
No.
I did.
You wanted those Maleficent horns.
I wanted the horns. I wanted the black cape. I wanted
that black ring.
And the black ring.
Yes.
Yep, that was me. That was me in a nutshell. I was just...
How did I know?
I was just that obvious.
Yes. Do we need to discuss Tom? I think we need to have a serious conversation about Tom.
I think we have to talk about Tom. Let's talk to Ma. Let's see what Ma thinks about Tom.
There's something about Tom. You're having probably flashbacks right now.
Tragic flashbacks, nightmarish flashbacks.
Oh my Lord!
Still, I've mentioned this on previous episodes, but me and my neighbor, we always used to play doctor. And we played it a little too well for the adults to digest. And I'll never forget the looks on my parents' faces. It was the same look they gave me the first time I came out.
Oh.
It was just this look of dread and fear and anger and confusion. And just them looking at me, you shouldn't do that because you're going to get sick. I'm like, okay, I'll stop doing it then. We didn't stop doing it.
Of course not. Of course not.
And then, of course, my father, saying to me, boys aren't supposed to dress up. It's my profession.
It's your career.
It's my career.
Hello.
So,
Lordy Lord.
Any hoozle beans,
So,
let's go to therapy with Tom.
Yeah. So, it's your mystery disease, which is, it's kind of ironic because then, of course, there was that great two-parter Golden Girls where Dorothy had a mystery disease.
Yes.
Yes. In terms
she had CFS.
Yes. Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting that she...
Apropos. It was apropos.
Yes.
But this also gives a little bit of insight into how telethons are created. Like, you need a king-size bundle of dough. You obviously need a sponsor. And it's just fascinating because the same way you get a telethon is the same way you book gigs. Just email, network, and see who's interested in sponsoring and giving money to it.
Very true. Very true.
So
I think that's when they have the commercial.
That is when they have the commercial.
We come back to
and
the
then
one-man band.
To the one-man band singing "Away Down South in Dixie."
I thought he was doing "It's a Grand Old Flag."
That too.
Oh, okay.
Because he sang away from the USA. Keep your eye on that grand old flag.
Oh, okay.
So, and even on the drum, it said "Grand Old Flag."
Yes. That's why I remember "Grand Old Flag." And he finishes and
actually, before we even say that, I do want it was a really funny bit, but if you noticed Bee's face as she was doing "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," all smiles, and welcome to the smile drops a little bit, and then by the end, when she says "Your mystery disease," her face is just she's miserable.
Oh yeah,
I love
how could she not be
like that.
So then we come, of course, it's the one-man band.
The one-man band finishes up. Vivian comes on in this hideous blue dress.
I like the blue dress.
You liked the blue?
I did.
I looked at it and I was just like, it is just all chiffon, everywhere.
Taffeta Darling.
Taffeta. Is that a drag queen? I think we know her.
Taffeta Darling.
Taffeta Darling.
Should be. She should be.
Please welcome to the stage, Taffeta
Darling.
Yeah.
Yakata.
So, Viv has a hard time finding her spot.
Yes. She keeps missing her mark.
She keeps missing her mark, and she's looking at the wrong cameras.
Yes. Perfect camera. Is this my camera?
Is that my camera?
And it was not.
Is that my...
It was not.
She's the same age as me.
Oh.
Jinx Monsoon is the same age as me.
Oh, okay.
I saw that, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong with my life?
Yeah. Start doing Judy.
You're funny.
I know. I am.
I could if I wanted to.
You could if you wanted to.
It's just I'm too tall to be Judy.
Well, just get on your knees in a long dress.
You got jokes. You got lots of jokes.
I do. We'll get you knee pads.
Great. Outstanding. I'll be Lord Farquaad in a red dress.
Yes. So the stage manager, not the stage manager, the director or whatever he was, the guy behind, directing. He's pushing her back, and dragging her.
Yes. It was a very fun bit of physical comedy, and I enjoyed that.
They just can't get the camera right. So now she is introducing Walter and Mrs. Naugatuck.
Doing one of the funniest bits in the episode.
Yes, Waterloo Bridge. It's the reenacting. I guess it was from a movie.
Yes.
Where this man had gone off to a soldier
went off to war, and his wife or his lover turns to the streets.
She becomes a lady of the evening. She thinks he's dead. He's killed. And it's Walter and Mrs. Naugatuck.
And the way that Vivian introduces them.
The way she introduces them, yes. So
the role of the soldier will be played by Walter Finley, Tuckahoe's most eminent appliance dealer. And Mrs. Naugatuck, that international favorite, will play the role of the hooker.
Yes. Such class. Yes. And to think that the Gallbladder Foundation pulled out of something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't pull out of something like that. This is gold. This is comedy gold. So
Mrs. Naugatuck comes out first.
And she's sauntering.
Yes.
And yes. You never fully realize the way someone looks until you see them in a short dress. She was a stocky woman.
Yes.
She was a solid woman.
Solid, yes. She's in sort of like a black floozy type.
Yeah, black floozy type outfit with a fox stole.
Yeah, the fox stole.
And this giant fake rose in her chest.
Yes. I actually, with the fox stole, I was like, she seems a little well dressed to be a lady of the evening. A little
too well dressed to be a lady of the evening. Unless the fox stole is meant to be, old.
I don't know.
Who knows? So Walter enters wearing this soldier uniform, singing Foggy Day in London Town.
Foggy Day in London Town.
And, Mrs. Naugatuck catches his eye by saying, Lonely ducks. How can I help you? I can change your 10.
Yes.
That was too funny. So they have this cute little fun bit where
she realizes that he's her fiance.
Ron Crowley, my fiance.
Yes.
So, and we find out her name is Gwendolyn. The character's name is Gwendolyn.
Yes.
And you know, they have this moment where Walter's character says, "Sometimes I would kill." It was ghastly because he had this faux British accent.
Yes.
Which it was just funny.
Yeah.
So he said he killed people with a bayonet, a knife, and sometimes with my bare hands.
Yes.
And Mrs. Naugatuck says, "Wow, and you being a chaplain too."
Yeah.
That was too funny. And she asks, "Do you think we could ever be lovers again?" And what does he say?
Unfortunately not, because he was shot in the southern provinces.
And her response is, "Oh, well, it looks like a handshake instead of a kiss." And she does this incredibly funny bit where she's saying, "Take this little tender rose."
Yes.
And I guess, I don't know if it was intentional. It had to have been intentional.
Of course it was intentional.
But the rose's vine snaked around her brassiere.
It was like the vine that the rose was on was like a mile long.
And she's singing the song and she's trying to pull
out the rose.
Pull the rose, and it's stuck.
I guess, she's supposed to be, she wants to hand it to him, I guess. Yes. As a sign of her love and devotion.
But she can't get the thing out of her dress.
Out of her bosom.
And it was just such a funny bit of physical comedy.
And she finally, I think Walter ends up
grabbing it, and then he yanks the rest of it out.
And it's like, it was hilarious.
It was very funny. It was very, very, very funny.
So they finish, and they're walking off stage, and I think she hits him with her purse.
She smacks him with the purse.
She smacks him with the purse. That's what he gets for being shot in the southern provinces, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you get shot in the southern provinces, you deserve to get hit with a purse.
Right.
So the number ends to raucous applause and laughter, and then we cut to Maude talking to the Pink Eye Foundation, saying, "I know this is a small telethon, but pink eye is a small disease.
They need a disease.
disease." And, Arthur's like, "I'm demanding that somebody do something." And Maude's like, "Well, why don't you do something?"
Yes.
And what does Arthur say?
"I am doing something. I'm demanding that somebody do something."
Typical.
Typical
Arthur.
And the station manager, he's like, this is illegal. You can't take money for a telethon
that has no disease.
Yes.
And Maude says, "Well, why not? Doctors do it all the time."
Yes. Very true.
It's very true.
Very true. And the manager is saying, you've got 5 minutes to find a disease.
Yep. Otherwise, he's pulling the plug.
Yes.
So, Maude's then asking, "Where is Mr. Fontezou? Where is Mr. Fontezou?" So we find out that Mr. Fontezou is Paul Anka's gardener.
Yes.
Because apparently, we'll get to that in a second. So Maude then Maude says, "I can't sing anything. This is a telethon. It would be improper for me to perform."
Right.
So Maude goes out and says, "Someone come down with something. I mean, come up with something."
Right. Pitch in and get a disease
from Maude.
Actually, that was Walter.
That was Walter.
Yes.
So
did we get to the point where, or did we get to the yet? Maude says something about national, getting.
That's at the end.
That's at the end.
That's at the end.
Okay.
That's towards the end of the episode.
Believe
me. We will be discussing
I was like, did we get to that yet?
We will be discussing that.
We have lots to say about that.
We do have lots to say about that. So Maude goes out to the audience saying, "Your response has been heartwarming.
Yes.
And please note that every penny you pledge goes to fight a malady that could attack your husband, your wife, or even someone you love." The first time I heard that line, I fell out my chair. I was laughing so hard. So, at that point she says, "You all know that famous singer and songwriter, Mr. Paul Anka?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Anka, tonight on this very stage, is his own gardener, Mr. Emil Fontezou.
Yes.
Singing one of Mr. Anka's all-time hits."
Right.
So Maude then turns to go off stage, but Walter is waving this riding crop.
Right.
From what I don't know. And he's like, "Maude, Fontezou isn't here."
He isn't here.
And Maude says, "Well, you go get him and I'll ad-lib." So the music starts playing, And Walter's like, no, you have to sing it. You have to be the one to sing it.
Yes.
And of course, Maude then is like, I can't do this. No. But she does it anyway.
Well, she's like very modest and like
too modest for words.
She starts singing it a little bit, and then
Regrets.
she's like, yes,
I've had a few.
Yes.
But then too few that I could. Oh, Walter, this is absurd.
Right. And Walter, of course, is like, trying to coax her on, and he's saying, you're better than Fantazu.
This was the line.
Yes.
Her line was better than Fantazu.
Yes.
And that line apparently killed Norman Lear.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
That was the line. That was the line that made Norman Lear fall out his chair. How about Sinatra?
10 times better than Sinatra.
And Maude finally has the courage of 10 Maudes to perform the rest of the number.
Yes, as soon as Walter says 10 times better than Sinatra, what do we hear?
Yes, there were times.
Yes.
And she goes on.
Yeah, it's just like, oh. And she sings some more of the song, and then everyone's applauding,
and she is belting this number.
And she was hoarse.
She was incredibly hoarse.
I don't know how she freaking did it. I don't know how she did it. And at that point, like,
as soon as she ends with My Way, the audience, well, not the audience, but everyone backstage
races
Walter,
Arthur, Vivian, Carol,
and they're all applauding,
they all come out.
And what does Maude do?
Yes. She says,
what Maude does best. She starts singing the rest of the song. And everyone behind her is just like racing to get off stage. Yes. And, she continues
What is
singing.
A woman?
And what has she got?
What has she got?
What does she got?
To say the words she truly feels.
Yes. And not the things of one who kneels.
Yeah, so she finishes the song, and of course there's more applause. She runs off stage.
She does not run off. She saunters off stage.
Yes. And it turns out they've got like 28 calls.
Yes. Arthur's like, Maude, we've got 28 calls.
Thinks they're pledges, but they're not. They're complaints.
That she's not Perry Mason.
She's not Perry Mason.
So I think she says to Arthur, stop having a nervous breakdown. And then she says, do they have telethons for nervous breakdowns?
Yes.
Which, technically, they did at one point.
Oh, they did?
I think they did have one for suicide prevention.
Okay. Well, they still do have like fundraisers for it.
Yeah,
I did one for suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm. They exist.
Yes, and I've done for them.
So at that point, Walter like is so happy and ecstatic. He runs, checks himself in the camera, and then runs off stage to say that the money is rolling in, and that they're only $312 away from their goal.
Yes. And
but
they still don't have a sponsor.
They don't have a sponsor. And, Maude's like, well, I think who asks? Was it Walter or Arthur who says, well, where's the money going? And Maude screams, how the hell do I know?
Right.
So I think at that point...
I think she goes back out on stage.
And
she's saying to the audience, thanks, you've been lovely.
Yep.
And what does she do?
She reintroduces Aldo Formica.
But this time...
preparing a pepperoni pizza. While asking the musical question, C'è la luna mezzomare.
Right.
And to those that don't know, that is a very, very old, famous Italian song that would be more classically referred to as the Tarantella.
Yes.
I remember the first time I ever heard Louis Monti do that song. And it was just... This was also when it was after the drag, but before I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. So, I was very Italian.
Were you?
I was obnoxiously Italian.
So Italian.
Worse than that.
Oh.
Like, I would wear the jogging suits, and I would do my hair curled off to one side.
Gold chains
and everything. Anything to keep the fabulousness and pearlescent shimmer at bay.
Yeah, well, honestly, it was really like you were just doing another form.
I was just doing another form of drag.
It was Italian drag.
It was very. I was the Guido from the block.
Right.
I was the Guido from the neighborhood. And do you know that people were actually terrified of me?
Really?
Because I came from Brooklyn, and everyone was just, oh, Brooklyn, the mob, he's connected. And I was like, yep. I'm connected.
Yeah.
I'm connected. That's me.
Connected to Betty Davis, maybe. Came in your Italian drag, looked around, and said, "What a dump!
What a dump! What a dump!"
Oh,
graciousness!
Gracious. So where were we after that?
Cielo non ammezzo male. So after that, Maude's like, "This is my co-chairman, Arthur Harmon." And Arthur says, "I just have one thing to say. Stop that!"
Yes.
And he yells at Aldo Formica, and Aldo just immediately stops, and the pizza swirls around his hand.
He wrecks the pizza. His hand goes through the dough. Yes, and Arthur's saying he's disassociating himself from the show.
I wash my hands of this. It has blackened the reputation of myself.
Yes.
And that's when Maude says,
"Oh, yes.
It's your fault because
we need a telethon.
To make people feel well."
Yes.
And that's because we don't have a national health plan.
And we still don't. How many decades later?
I found out. So, Biden recently, I think, wrote an addendum or signed an executive order protecting women's reproductive rights.
Right.
Now, here's the fun part. Women's reproductive rights were covered under Obamacare before the conservatives got a hold of it.
Right.
So when Republicans and Democrats were sort of navigating the waters of Obamacare and trying to figure out, okay, what do we want to add? What do we want to take away? What do we want to add? What do we want to take away? It was butchered in order to get approved. Butchered. That they lost women's reproductive rights in that crusade to get socialized medicine. And it is genuinely so upsetting how, and if any Republicans or if any conservatives are listening to this, which I don't know.
I doubt it.
I doubt. But if they are, you have to look in awe at how they really don't want a Democratic candidate to succeed.
Oh, no.
They haven't wanted a Democrat to succeed since Nixon.
Yeah.
I think I read something recently that American politics really has gone downhill since Eisenhower. And I don't believe that for a moment. I definitely think it went downhill during Nixon and Reagan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I don't think that it was...
Yeah.
I don't think that Eisenhower was the... I will say, though, that Eisenhower was the one who introduced a more religious... more religious talk.
Well, that was that whole, the 50s, everything was, being repressed. And McCarthyism and all that. The Red Scare and, a very paranoid era.
Very paranoid. I mean, what was that? When was the Cold War?
During the 50s.
It was during the 50s. Everyone thought that there was going to be nuclear war, and there were bunkers created, and just Americana. And
I remember there were actually, there were these little films, because some people actually built their own bunkers to survive a nuclear war, and they would show this, typical suburban family, and they happily go down into the bunker. And the mother is knitting, the father's reading the paper, and the kids are playing a board game, and then it's just they're just waiting for the
bombs to go off.
No, the bombs have already gone off. They're waiting. They're waiting for the fallout to disperse, so then they can come out and go out of the bunker. Yeah. And it was it doesn't. That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
That's not how any of this works.
That's not how any of this works.
But also, it was Eisenhower that sort of made it mandatory for us to say the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God.
Under God. Which the founding fathers would have never approved of.
They would have never approved of it anyway. They also wouldn't have approved of, slaves being freed, but that's a conversation for later.
But, this is 2022. Why are we paying attention to what, these men from the 1800s believed?
Because it's the same thing as the Bible. Right. If a conservative or a Republican or even a Democrat or a progressive, but I mean, in any of the arguments that I've seen for progressivism and forward movement, I have not seen such a blatant disregard for education. Just complete and total blanket ignorance.
Well, that's what they want.
I guess so.
They want the masses to be ignorant,
I guess
so they don't question.
To be ignorant, so they don't question.
And, you know.
But it's disheartening because honestly, at this point, we should have socialized. We need a national health plan.
I mean, you look at countries in Europe, like, you know, people, when they get sick, it's not a big deal. They go to the doctor or they go into the hospital, and it's taken care of.
Well, what is America called? It's a third world country in a Gucci belt.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's got a fabulous interior. I mean, it's got a fabulous exterior, but you look inside, the mechanisms are all sort of cocked up.
I mean, it's like, you know, America's supposed to be the greatest country on earth.
Yeah, okay.
Really? Mm-hmm. How come, like, countries in Europe, they don't have to worry about paying for their medical bills? Like, their jobs, they get like 4 weeks vacation, and when they go on vacation, the employer they're not even allowed to like email or message them. They can get in trouble. So the employee, they go on vacation, and they're making enough money, they can go anywhere they want, as opposed to like America, where, you know, you have to work maybe 2 or 3 jobs.
Every time I have read something pertaining to a native United States person, someone born in the States, going abroad and having to get checked out, and then the doctors or nurses saying, "Oh, that'll be $30."
Right.
Wait, is that just the copay? No, $30 just to be checked.
That was right.
Insane.
Right.
Insane.
Right.
And then you see here like $200 for a dentist's visit,
right.
$150 for a shot. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's horse pucky. It is horse pucky.
It's ridiculous. It really is.
I've seen so many friends of mine post that one meme where it's like, well, no socialized medicine. Guess I'll die if I get sick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically what it is.
It really is sick. It really is sick.
It's terrible.
We live in the wealthiest nation, but we have the poorest people.
Right. We have some of the best medical treatments available that no one can afford.
Did you see they approved a new military budget?
Oh, did they? Okay, what is it now? How many billions?
I think it was 570.
570 billion.
570 billion.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what we really need.
Well, we need to be protected, don't you know?
Oh, yeah, I know.
We need to be protected.
Yeah.
God forbid we get into another nuclear war with Russia.
Yeah. So that's our stand on the
national health plan. And of course, Arthur's like, if they can get sick without help from the government, they can get well without help from the government. Right. Because that's just how Arthur believes it to be. And that's honestly how a lot of conservatives felt the same. Oh, yeah. When Obama introduced Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
The Affordable Care Act, which is, that's what it was called. It was called the Affordable Care Act. It was given that name because of racist white conservatives. That was what they said. They said, if people can get sick without help from the government, they can get well without help from the government.
And I loved seeing, like, when, Trump came into power, and there I remember seeing one guy who was like, we got to get rid of that Obamacare. And they asked him, well, what insurance do you have? And he said, I have the
Affordable Care Act.
Affordable Care Act. And they were like,
that's Obamacare.
That's Obamacare. And he was like, huh? I was like, yeah.
It is a deep-rooted, closed-minded, ignorant view of what goes on in this country politically.
Yeah.
And every day I wake up
and that is just the kind of person the Republicans want.
They love that.
Yes.
Well, Trump even said nationally, what was it? I adore dumb people.
Yeah.
Or I love stupid people.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And again, I wake up every morning, I go downstairs, I have my banana and my apple with peanut butter, and all I hear is Fox News. And I'm like, let me tell you something. They are misery makers. I can't. Every time I sit down, I'm just like, okay, that's a lie. That I can double check. That was Associated Press. That didn't happen. Just, it is... I can't do it. I cannot do it.
I don't know how I would have
I have compassion.
I would have my earbuds in.
I have compassionate friends.
I would have my earbuds in.
And do you know there are times when my family will actually complain to me saying, oh, well, you don't sit with us anymore. I wonder why. Why don't you ask yourself what it is that you're doing that is preventing me from sitting with all of you lovely people?
Okay.
So,
moving right along.
So at that point, after their argument, the thermometer blows up.
Yes.
They have reached the $6,000 goal.
6,000.
Not bad for about a half an hour.
Really? Yeah. Exactly.
From no money to $6,000.
Yes.
Good. I wish I could make $6,000 in a half an hour.
Me too. Me too.
So they immediately go into Hooray for Hollywood because Maude and Arthur are arguing. It blows up. And, Maude is jumping up and down, hugging Arthur. Arthur's jumping up and down. And then they start performing Hooray for Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood. And it's a medley of songs.
It's a medley of, like, a lot of old Hollywood standards.
Yes, like,
old Hollywood standards.
Yeah, like...
Clang, clang, clang with the trolley. Mad About the Boy. You Are My Lucky Star. Mm-hmm. I know you've come so far. You've Made Me Love You. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of old Hollywood standards. It was very well put together and well choreographed. And behind is like this big Hooray for Hollywood sign with the caricatures of old Hollywood star Clark Gable, Marlene Dietrich, Marilyn Monroe, Laurel and Hardy. I'm sure if I looked at it closer, I'd be able to pinpoint all of them.
And in between singing, Arthur's yelling,
at Maude
to stop.
Yep.
And he says, you can't take money under false pretenses.
Yes.
And I think that's about when Maude comes up with.
Well, I think
her idea for what the telethon is.
Yeah, because I think Arthur says something about people should be able to choose where they send their money to.
Right.
And Maude's like, well, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the charity of your choice, telethon. Yes. And they immediately go right into heaven. I'm in heaven. And my heart beats so that I speak to me of lonely, so on and so forth.
And then we see the station manager standing by a television showing the broadcast that's going out.
And they're going, even with a turkey that you know will fold, you may be stranded out in the cold. And again, the entire cast is singing and performing. And then right before they get to the end, the stage manager is
doing the
cut him off. So we don't even get to hear the last note because... Perry Mason
comes on.
Gotta be on the television.
Yes.
And that's
how it ends.
The episode ends.
They get preempted by Perry Mason.
Oh, I mean, wouldn't you?
Yes. Absolutely.
But in terms of episodes, this easily is one of my favorites.
It was a great episode.
Easily one of my favorites.
Episode. Yes, it was.
But yes, in this house, we stand for socialized medicine. We stand for a national health plan.
Yes, absolutely.
Where people can, not be taken advantage of by Big Pharma.
Yeah. Hello.
So that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
I need to breathe.
I need to decompress.
And decompress after all that.
I do. Okay. But again, I do love the singing episodes because
they are fun.
It gives me more material.
Yes. It's true.
There's another song that Maude does that I want to potentially sing.
What is?
Smile.
Smile, though your heart is breaking. That's a good song.
It's a great song.
That's a great song.
Who originally sang that? Was it...
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Was it Pat... No, it wasn't Patty Duke. No. It wasn't Doris Day. Oh, my God. No, not Patsy Cline.
I don't know.
Whatever. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
If
Google it.
Yes,
if you want to know, Google it.
Google it.
What do we have to do? Everything for you people. Give me a break.
What was that one? GTS? Google that shit?
GTS.
Google
that shit. Yes.
We thank you for listening to another episode of God Will Get You for That, Walter.
We do.
If you would like to hear more, you can, of course, on our YouTube channel, which is God Will Get You for That, Walter. Our Instagram, which is Findley's Friendly Appliances, and our Facebook, which is also
God, I'll get you for that, Walter.
If you would like to follow me, you can at That Tomcat or thattomcat.com, where all That Tomcats are found. And of course, that is Cat with 2 T's. Where can they find you?
Toni Homeperm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And of course, that's Toni
with an I.
With an I.
We thank you so much for listening, and you will hear us again on another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter. Good night, guys.
Good night.